Most people think Vijayadashami is just a festival, celebrating the victory of good over evil. But if it were that simple, why is there still so much suffering in the world? The truth is, this day represents something much deeper, an inner journey, where the real victory isn't over others, but over yourself. Sadhguru explains that without this understanding, you could spend your entire life fighting unnecessary battles. But once you grasp the real meaning, everything changes. Vijayadashami isn't just about celebrating the triumph of good over evil. If that were the case, after all these years, shouldn't evil be gone by now? But here's the thing, it's not about defeating something outside of you. It's about transforming what's within. These 10 days symbolize your journey from confusion to clarity, from darkness to light. Everyone carries their own inner demons: fear, anger, insecurity, and this festival reminds us that you don't overcome them by fighting, but by becoming more conscious. If you try to fight darkness, you'll be stuck in an endless battle. But if you simply turn on a light, darkness disappears on its own. In the same way, Vijayadashami teaches that real transformation doesn't happen through conflict, but through understanding. Think about someone who wants to change their life, but keeps making the same mistakes. Forcing change won't work. Transformation happens when they realize why those mistakes keep happening. This festival is an invitation to look within and see the true victory happens inside. Your body, your mind, your emotions, they can either be tools for freedom or sources of suffering. It's like driving a car. If you don't know how to control it, you'll crash. But if you learn how to handle it, you can go anywhere. Vijayadashami teaches us to use what we have wisely, with awareness. Because once you get this, life is no longer a struggle, it becomes an expression. And when you truly understand that, a whole new possibility opens up. True victory doesn't happen because someone else lost, but because something inside of you woke up. On Vijayadashami, it's not about an enemy being defeated, it's about the truth becoming clear. When you see reality for what it is, illusions lose their power over you. Think about your own life. How many times have you argued, fought, or tried to change someone? But in the end, you realize that real change happens within you. Awareness doesn't need to fight. It simply sees. Once you understand this, life becomes lighter. Think about it: if someone throws mud at you and you react with anger, who's really getting dirty? The real victory happens when you don't let things that don't belong to you affect you. This festival reminds us to respect the tools we have, our body and mind, because without clarity, they can become a problem. Have you ever noticed how some people are incredibly smart, but still unhappy? Intelligence isn't the issue, it's the lack of awareness to use it correctly. Awareness transforms even the toughest situations. Imagine a man who lost everything in business. If he reacts with despair, he sinks even deeper. But if he uses the experience to learn, he rises stronger. The real question isn't what happens outside, but how you handle it inside. And that brings us to something really important. Your body and mind are the only instruments you have to experience life. But most people treat them like a burden. When you're sick, you suddenly realize the value of your body. When your mind is restless, you understand the value of peace. Respecting your body and mind doesn't mean worshiping them, it means recognizing them as precious tools. If you have a sharp tool, you can create something incredible. If it's dull, you might hurt yourself with it. It's not about what you have, but how you use it. Look at your own life. If your body is healthy and your mind is balanced, everything flows naturally. But if you're exhausted or mentally overwhelmed, even simple things feel difficult. Vijayadashami reminds us to take care of these tools, not just with exercise and diet, but with awareness. If you treat your body like a temple, it responds with vitality. If you treat your mind with clarity, it becomes your ally instead of your enemy. A lot of people fight against their own thoughts, trying to silence them by force. But here's the thing, your mind isn't your enemy. If you learn to observe without identifying with it, it becomes a great power. If someone hands you poison and you don't drink it, it can't harm you. In the same way, when negative thoughts arise, if you don't feed them, they lose their grip. That changes everything, because when you master your mind, your entire life changes. And that brings us to an even deeper point. Mahishasura wasn't just a demon from ancient stories. He represents something very real inside each of us. He symbolizes the stubborn, instinct-driven side that acts without clarity. Think about it. When you're controlled by impulses like anger, desire, or fear, you're not truly choosing your actions. You're just reacting. And what happens when you live in reaction mode? Life becomes a repetitive cycle of problems. Defeating Mahishasura means exactly that, rising above blind instincts and acting with awareness. Imagine someone who explodes in anger every time something goes wrong. They yell, fight, regret it later, but then do it all over again. That's living like Mahishasura. He was powerful, but without intelligence or direction. He wasn't defeated by force, but by clarity. In the same way, in your own life, it's not about fighting against your impulses, it's about bringing more awareness. If you notice before the explosion, before the automatic reaction, you've already started transforming your mind. It's not about killing your instincts, it's about putting them in the right place. If a wild bull is trained, it can work and create something valuable. But if it's left unchecked, it can destroy everything in its path. Your energy can either be a disaster or a powerful force. It all depends on how you direct it. And that brings us to the next point. For a long time, humans lived purely by instinct, eating, surviving, reproducing. But think about it, if you still live that way, what makes you any different from any other animal? Evolution gave us a brain capable of so much more. You can think, create, and shape your life however you want. But here's the problem: most people are still stuck in the most primitive part of their brain. They react, defend, and compete like they're still living in the jungle. If you pay attention, when people are under stress, fear, or anger, they go back to acting like animals. They yell, attack, run away. But when someone is conscious, they realize they have a choice. If someone insults you and you snap back at them, you're just reacting. But if you pause, understand, and respond with clarity, it means your higher brain is in charge. It's not about being passive, it's about acting from intelligence, not impulse. Have you noticed how some people turn challenges into lessons while others just complain? The difference is where they operate from instinct or intelligence. You have a brain that can create any reality for your life. The real question is, are you actually using that ability, or are you just letting your system run on autopilot? And if you truly want to evolve, there's one thing that can completely transform this relationship with your mind. Today, science is finally catching up with what wise beings understood thousands of years ago. Studies show that practices like meditation aren't just feel-good ideas, they literally change the way the brain functions. What does this mean? It means you can train your mind to break free from reactivity and enter a higher state of awareness. Your brain isn't set in stone, it can be shaped. But the real question is, are you shaping your mind, or are you just letting the world shape it for you? See, when you meditate, something incredible happens. The connection between the primitive parts of your brain and the more evolved regions improves. In other words, the survival brain, the part that only thinks about safety and instant pleasure, starts to align with the conscious, intelligent part of you. This means that instead of being dragged around by impulses, you begin to act with clarity. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. But of course, those who've never experienced it will keep thinking it's just spiritual talk. If you want to see this for yourself, try something simple. Before reacting to anything that annoys you, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just observe what's happening inside you. Just that small space between stimulus and reaction changes everything. And if you take this seriously, there's no limit to what you can transform. Because in the end, it's not about what's happening outside, it's about how you function inside. And that brings us to an even deeper understanding. Human intelligence reaches its full potential when it expands to include, not when it shuts down to exclude. But look around, how many divisions have we created? Religion, culture, nationality, even small groups within the same family. All of this happens because the instinctive mind sees the world in terms of us vs them, but the universe doesn't work that way. The sun doesn't shine for just one group. The air doesn't choose who gets to breathe. Life itself is naturally inclusive. If you really pay attention, you'll notice that the more someone feels separate from others, the more suffering they carry. When you only think about yourself, even small things feel like huge problems. But when your perspective expands to include others, your suffering decreases because your sense of identity grows larger. That's why some people seem light and joyful, while others carry a heavy burden. It all depends on where they set their boundaries. So the real question is, do you want a mind that traps you, or a mind that sets you free? If you only identify with a small piece of existence, every change feels like a threat. But if you include everything, there's nothing to fear. When people feel insecure, they try to protect themselves. But when people feel whole, they share. And real intelligence emerges the moment the fear of separation disappears. Now, there's something essential for this expansion to happen. True intelligence and transformation don't come from force, they come from receptivity. Look, for the longest time, humanity has glorified conquest, control, and domination, qualities often linked to the masculine. But if you look deeper, you'll see that everything that truly grows and flourishes happens through openness, not force. The earth doesn't fight the seed, it nurtures it. Water doesn't battle the mountain, it finds a way through. The feminine isn't just a gender, it's an essential quality of life itself. When this quality is rejected, everything turns into a struggle. People fight at home, fight at work, fight within themselves. But when the feminine is embraced, there's ease and clarity. The problem with modern society is that it tries to solve everything with resistance. But if you really pay attention, you'll see that the best solutions come when there's acceptance and flexibility. Look at your own life. How many times did something finally resolve itself only when you stopped forcing and simply allowed it to happen? The feminine isn't weakness, it's intelligence in its most subtle form. For something new to emerge, you need space. For an idea to flourish, you need patience. Real transformation only happens when this energy is truly understood. So if you want to grow, strength and determination alone aren't enough. You need this other dimension, something that allows life to flow instead of always trying to control it. And that's why understanding Vijayadashami can completely shift your perspective. Now that you understand the true meaning of Vijayadashami, the question is, are you fighting external battles, or are you awakening your awareness? The real victory isn't about defeating something outside of you. It's about transforming what's inside. How can you apply this to your life today? Leave a comment and share your experience. And if you want to keep going on this journey of learning, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.